should be arrested before the sun sets tonight. There's no question that he and the BLM Antifa activists who went in there, that was effectively an insurrection. They were coming in there violently protesting.
Be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yeah. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay? That's why we're here.
Donald Trump just co-signed a post that says Don Lemon should go to prison for reporting at an anti-ICE church protest in Minnesota.
Should Don Lemon have been arrested after what he pulled off during the anti-ICE protests? Because let's really talk about this. Walking protesters straight into a church during a live service, broadcasting it, letting a place of worship get interrupted like that? A lot of people are saying that crossed a line that never should have been crossed. And that's exactly why Don Lemon is in hot water right now.
Authorities arrested 3 of the anti-ICE agitators involved in Sunday's protest inside a St. Paul church in Minnesota. All 3 now facing felony charges.
Now, over the weekend, Don Lemon showed up at an anti-ICE protest in St. Paul, Minnesota. He live streamed the entire thing as protesters entered City's church in the middle of a service. The reason the protesters gave was that one of the church's pastors was allegedly working as an acting field director for ICE. Videos from inside the church spread fast. People in the pews looked confused. The pastor stayed calm, protesters were chanting, and Don Lemon was right there, filming, narrating, and broadcasting the whole thing to the internet.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
Almost immediately, the reaction split in 2. Some people said this was journalism, that Lemon was simply documenting a newsworthy moment, the same thing reporters have done for decades. Others said no. This didn't look like reporting. This looked like helping protesters disrupt a church and target a private religious space.
He, on his own live streams and on his own video, talks about going to the church and talks about this group doing what it's going to do. He clearly embeds himself with the group.
And that's when the calls for Don Lemon's arrest started flying. And not just from random people online. President Donald Trump jumped in fast. He publicly condemned what happened, saying he watched the footage and found it disturbing. He said the pastor was calm and respectful, and that what happened inside that church was horrible. Trump said he has deep respect for places of worship and made it clear he believed Lemon's presence made the situation worse, not better.
The way he walked in that church, it was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm, he was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible.
At the same time, Attorney General Pam Bondi was reportedly furious. According to multiple outlets, federal prosecutors actually attempted to move forward with charges connected to what happened at the church. They went to a federal magistrate judge to get approval to begin a criminal case.
The DOJ, under the Trump administration, they are seeking charges against Don Lemon.
And this is where things took a turn. The magistrate judge refused to sign off on the charges. That decision alone shocked a lot of people. Former federal prosecutor Andrew Tessman said it's extremely rare for a magistrate judge to reject charges outright. He said he'd never personally seen it happen before because prosecutors are usually very careful about bringing cases that meet legal standards.
A federal judge just refused to indict Don Lemon. If you guys don't know, they're trying to charge him with the KKK Act or whatever that is, the irony.
So when the judge declined, it sent a message, not just about Don Lemon, but about how shaky the case might be. Still, sources say the refusal enraged Pam Bondi. And while Lemon wasn't arrested, the fact that federal prosecutors even tried to move forward added fuel to the fire. Bondi later announced that 3 of the protesters involved were arrested, making it clear that the DOJ does not tolerate attacks on places of worship. But Don Lemon, no charges or cuffs, at least not yet, and that's where the debate really exploded. That's when people started asking the big question. Why was Don Lemon treated differently? Critics say this didn't look like someone just standing back and reporting. They're pointing out that he was live streaming, moving with the protesters, and helping push the moment out to a massive audience. To them, that crosses the line from observer to participant. And some people took it even further. They started claiming Lemon was helping protect people ICE might have been trying to identify, basically shielding them by blasting the situation online and turning it into a public pressure moment.
Brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally.
Those claims haven't been proven, but once that idea hit the internet, it spread fast. On the other side of this, Lemon's legal team wasn't having it at all. His lawyer, Abby Lowell, came out swinging, saying Don Lemon was doing protected journalism. According to him, Lemon was doing the same thing he's done for decades, showing up on the ground, covering what was happening in real time, and using his First Amendment rights. Lowell also warned that if the DOJ keeps pushing this, they're stepping into dangerous territory by going after a journalist for doing his job. And he made it clear that if any charges do come down, Lemon plans to fight them all the way in court. So now you've got two very different stories being told. One side says Don Lemon helped protesters disrupt a church and interfere with law enforcement efforts. The other says he was simply doing journalism, and any attempt to arrest him would be an attack on press freedom. Now, as if that wasn't enough, this situation somehow pulled Nicki Minaj into the mess. She went straight to X and didn't hold back even a little. Nicki called Don Lemon disgusting and flat out said he should be arrested. She accused him of doing something he would never do to another religion and even said, lock him up.
Nicki Minaj tweeted this to Don Lemon. Don Lemon responded to the tweet.
Then it got even more chaotic when she admitted she purposely used an anti-gay slur in her post. She said she did it on purpose because she wanted people to be mad and actually pay attention to what she thought was unacceptable behavior. That alone sparked a whole new wave of backlash. Don Lemon responded later with an Instagram video calling her comments unhinged and homophobic. He said the language was harmful and completely took the focus off the real issue.
Nicki Minaj, stop talking about for which you know nothing about. This is out of your depth, by the way, and you are a homophobic bigot. You don't care about African Americans. You're not an African American. From what I know, you are reportedly an undocumented citizen, so you should be deported under Donald Trump's rules.
At that point, this wasn't just a political argument anymore. It turned into a full-on culture fight. You had Trump supporters, immigration activists, journalists, civil rights groups, and now celebrity fandoms all going back and forth at the same time. And somehow, in the middle of all that chaos, it kept circling back to one thing: the church. Because for a lot of people, that detail mattered more than anything else. Protests happen all the time, outside buildings, on sidewalks, in public spaces. That's not new. But once you walk into a church during a live service, a lot of people feel like that's crossing a line. And let's be honest for a second. If this had been a mosque that protesters forced their way into, it wouldn't have just been treated as a protest or a political moment. I think we can all agree it would have turned into a much bigger issue, fast. That's why Pam Bondi's statement about not tolerating attacks on places of worship hit the way it did. Even people who don't support ICE were saying the same thing: the location was wrong. Now, technically, the DOJ still has options. They could try again, they could take it to a grand jury, or they could drop it completely. So it's not like Don Lemon is fully in the clear right now. At the same time, public opinion is split right down the middle, and Don Lemon himself hasn't backed down at all. He's standing by what he did, framing this as press freedom under attack, and making it clear he's not apologizing. So now everything is just sitting there. Because the next move isn't Don Lemon's, it's the DOJ's, and whatever they decide to do next could change how far journalists are allowed to go and where the line actually gets drawn.